Endsars massacre is false. Lie Mohammed attacks CNN. Welcome to the news, and please subscribe to our channel. Please listen to the end. Nigeria's Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, has said that the Endsars massacre is false. Mohammed, in a lengthy statement on Wednesday made available to Politics Nigeria, described the narrative that there was a massacre of protesters by soldiers at the Lekki toll gate on October 20th, 2020 as fake news. Below is a full transcript of the statement. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to this press conference. Phantom Massacre at Lekki toll gate. Today marks the first anniversary of the Phantom Massacre at Lekki toll gate in Lagos, which was the culmination of an otherwise peaceful protest that was later hijacked by hoodlums. At earlier press conferences, I had called the reported massacre at the toll gate the first massacre in the world without blood or bodies. 1 year later, and despite ample opportunities for the families of those alleged killed and those alleging a massacre to present evidence, there has been none. No bodies, no families, no convincing evidence, nothing. Where are the families of those who were reportedly killed at the toll gates? Did they show up at the digital panel of inquiry? If not, why? Sadly, the champions of a massacre at the Lekki toll gates, including Amnesty International and CNN, have continued to shamelessly hold on to the unproven stand. Recall, gentlemen, that after bandying different figures, Amnesty International finally settled about 12 people killed. On its part, CNN went from 38 people killed to just 2 to just 1. After a supposed global exclusive, even when the network had no report on ground at the Lekki toll gate on October 20th, 2020. On Monday, the judicial panel of inquiry that was started by the Lagos State government after the Endsars protest wrapped up its sitting. During the sitting, CNN was summoned, but it never showed up, thus missing a great opportunity to prove its allegation of massacre at the toll gate. Also, Amnesty International had a golden opportunity to convince the world, but it rather opted for issuing meaningless press releases. In its latest attempt to grasp at straws and redeem whatever is left of its battered credibility on this issue, CNN has continued with its baseless report that soldiers shot at protesters. In a report currently running on the network, CNN brazenly and unashamedly held on to its flawed narrative, relying on an unidentified mother whose son was reportedly shot dead at Lekki, but without convincing evidence of who shot him dead. The same CNN that tweeted on October 23rd, 2020, that 38 people were shot dead at Lekki, is now struggling to convince the world that one boy was killed at Lekki. What a shame. The testimony of ballistic expert before the judicial panel of inquiry in Lagos contradicts the tale by the moonlight by Amnesty International, CNN, a runaway DJ, and their Ike. The experts in the testimony said, inter alia, the team finds that from the medical data that is examined, including the timeline of arrival at medical facility and the nature of the injuries sustained by the victims, who were taken to 5 medical activities, that no military grade live ammunition, high velocity was fired at the protesters, emphasis mine, at Lekki toll gate on 20th October 2020. Within the time frame of reference, 1830 to 2034 hours. That the GSW gunshot wounds injuries fall in number between 7:05 p.m. and 7:45 p.m., which were examined by the team, can be safely identified as being discharged by either low-velocity caliber and/or artisanal 12-gauge firearms. Artisanal firearms are locally fabricated weapons, which is, what is, however, certain is that had the military personnel deliberately fired military-grade live ammunition directly at the protesters, there would have been significantly more fatalities, and catastrophic injuries recorded. This was clearly not the case. The ballistic experts are not alone in reaching that conclusion. In its 2020 country report on human rights practices, the U.S. State Department wrote, on October 20th, 2020, members of the security forces enforced curfew by firing shots into the air to disperse protesters who had gathered at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos to protest abusive practices by the Nigeria Police Force Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS. Accurate information on fatalities resulting from the shooting was not available at the year's end. Amnesty International reported 10 persons died during the event, but the government disputed Amnesty reports, and no other organization was able to verify the claims. With the preponderance of evidence against any massacre, at Lekki Toll Gate on 20th October 2020, we are once again reiterating what we said 1 year ago, that the military did not shoot at protesters at Lekki Toll Gate on October 20th, 2020, and there was no massacre at the toll gate. The only massacre recorded was on the social media, hence there were neither bodies nor blood. Amnesty International, CNN, a runaway DJ, and others like them should apologize for misleading the world that there was a massacre at the Lekki Toll Gate and for portraying the Nigerian military, police, and other security agencies in bad light. CNN acted unprofessionally by relying on unverified and possibly doctored social media videos as well as other open source information to conclude that a massacre took place at the toll gate. The federal government remains proud of the security agencies for acting professionally and showing utmost restraint all through the Endsars protests and the eschewing violence, an action that saved lives and properties. The 6 soldiers and 37 policemen who died during the Endsars protests are human beings with families, even though the human rights organization and CNN simply ignored their deaths, choosing instead to trumpet a phantom massacre. Other issues related to Endsars. The National Economic Council, NEC, which comprises all state governors and representatives of the federal government and chaired by the Vice President, has already addressed other issues relating to the Endsars protests. At its meeting on 15 October 2021, the NEC received an update on the reports of judicial panels of inquiry into allegations of human rights violations against members of Nigeria Police Force and other security agencies. Note that 28 states and the Federal Capital Territory (FCT), under the auspices of the National Human Rights Commission, has set up judicial panels, commissions of inquiry to investigate allegations of violations of human rights levied against members of the Nigerian Police Force and other security agencies, especially members of the disbanded SARS. Out of the 28 states, 11 states, Abia, Ekiti, Enugu, Gombe, Kwara, Nasarawa, Ogun, Ondo, Osun, Plateau, and Rivers have submitted their final reports to council governors of other states, have also indicated that the reports will be submitted soon. Following deliberations on the recommendations of a panel, NEC agreed and resolved as follows: payments of compensation to victims. Each state, in collaboration with the federal government, shall establish modalities for settlement of all monetary compensation awarded by the panels. Already as resolved by NEC, a number of states have set up victims' compensation funds, from which several victims have already received payments of sums awarded to them by the panels.